Hello my YouTube fam, I'm Kiana and welcome back to Kiana's Creative Closet. So today's video is my second part in my series of chit chat and cocktails with Kiana. This is like girl chat, Friday night girl chats, you guys. So this is the second series. So today, just like I mentioned in the last video, we're going to talk about misconceptions of marriage. Last week we talked about relationships and dating. This one is piggybacking off of that one with marriage. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you think that's something you're interested in seeing, continue on watching. I will say this is something different from my usual videos. Normally I do fashion content. I'm still a fashion girl at heart. If you are looking for fashion videos, go ahead through my playlist and find what you're looking for. I have a ton of videos there. This one is just like unbiased opinions, how I feel about certain situations. We're talking about relationships, marriage, friendships. We're going to be talking about fashion, of course. We're going to be talking about plus size, and this new day and era, and how plus size women are viewed nowadays. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, and I also want y'all to leave me comments. Also let me know what y'all want to hear, what type of topics you want me to touch on. So let's go ahead and hop into the video. Let's do this. Okay my love, so before I jump into the video, I wanted to show you the cocktail that I will be drinking today. It is a little bit earlier in the day today. Normally I like to film these around 7ish, you know, have a little cocktail, sit back, relax. Today I have a lot of things to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it a little bit earlier. I've recorded this video before, but I feel like I didn't touch bases on a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, so I'm re-recording. And being as though it's early in the day, I just did a little glass of champagne. I didn't want to do any liquor because again I have things to do. So let's jump into it. So y'all know I told y'all in the last video with the relationships, some of y'all may think I'm a little bit biased because I have been married for such a long time. But y'all, this is a topic that I have really touched bases on because again, I have been married for such a long time, and I don't have a ton of friends who are married, but I have a ton of family members, associates around my age, in my age group, and some that are a little younger that are married, family, associates. So we're going to talk about this misconception, honey. So first we're going to talk about a little bit about finding your partner, finding your mate, the person that's meant for you, soulmate. Whether you want to call it soulmate or you want to call it, you know, just your match. However you want to call it, because I feel like sometimes soulmate, like, is it truly a soulmate out here? Is it truly an opposite person of you, or a person so similar to you that that's your soulmate? Sometimes I just feel like you found your partner, the person that's going to make you great, and you're going to vice versa, you the same way going to make that person great. So I don't necessarily know if I really believe on the soulmate, like, oh gosh, heaven sent. I just feel like it's people out here that's so compatible to you that y'all can intertwine so much together and understand each other, and the personalities are just so equally yoked that you can live together for the rest of your life. That's how I feel. So I don't know necessarily how you call it. I just say, you know, you found your match. That's what I'm gonna say. You have found your match. And a lot of times I will say, a lot of people, when we're younger, we have this whole thing in our head, girl, oh, I want this 6'2" gorgeous chocolate dude. I need him to have a 6-7 figure bank account. I need him to be driving a Jag. I need him to be driving, working at a top Fortune 500 company. I need him to have a big house. I need him to have moolah and have a little street smart too. I'm telling you, when we're younger, our dreams and our thinking process for that man that we supposed to be with, just, girl, it's just like fairy tale, imaginary. So I will say, sometimes finding your partner, it may not be the guy that you thought in your, you know, your younger days. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all, my camera had cut off. But yeah, like I was saying, we have all of these dreams and we have this picture in our head of how our partner is supposed to be. And the whole time, our partner may be a general manager at a chain of restaurants or a grocery store chain. Our partner may be driving a Hyundai Accord, honey. Our partner may be may have a house, but him and his homeboy went in together and they roommates, honey. Our partner may be something totally different than what we had pictured in our head. Like, I'm serious. So keep that in mind, because sometimes you could be missing out on your partner because you have this picture in your head of what he's supposed to be. And like I said, those things that I just said, it doesn't mean that that's a bad partner or that's a bad person. I feel like anybody who makes money legally, legit, and working on their goals to further their dreams and be able to reach their dreams, that's a good man. You know, and I feel like when it comes to partners, sometimes you may meet that partner early on where he or she doesn't have it figured out, right? And sometimes it takes that other person to help push people to their goals. Like, I feel like me and my husband, we are good separate. You know, we are good separate from each other, but we are great. We are awesome together. We motivate each other. We push each other. And I feel like neither of us will be where we are right now if it wasn't for each other. If it wasn't for me pushing him, if it wasn't for him pushing me, we would not be where we are today. So that's what I'm saying. Don't be counting out this guy that's driving the Hyundai Accord because you think you're supposed to be with the guy that's driving the Jaguar or the Audi. I'm just telling you. Because a couple of years from now, he may be that guy that be driving that Jaguar or Audi. He may be that guy where y'all may be going to get that nice, beautiful home together. He may be that guy that is now with y'all together, y'all building a life together. He may now be that person that's making 6-7 figures. So I'm just saying, don't count yourself, don't sell yourself short, don't sell yourself short. So that's enough with that. So let's get into misconceptions. Oh, and before I get into it, don't think because maybe, okay, you're hitting 40 or you're in your 40s that oh, I just missed out, I'm going to be lonely for the rest of my life. That is not true. Some people don't meet their soulmates until their middle age. You have people, I just seen a couple that was, my coworker was reading an article, and these people were in their 80s, maybe close to 90s, and they had got married. I'm not sure if it was their first marriage, but they got married. And my coworker was saying, oh, if I was that old, I wouldn't even count it out. Why would I be marrying somebody? I said, age it shouldn't matter how old you are. If you found love, a person that's compatible to you, go ahead and do the thing. So don't count yourself out. Don't give up on love. Don't give up on feeling like you're never going to get married. For the ladies who don't have any children and you know, don't have any children because they don't want to have children out of wedlock, don't give up on it because your soulmate may be coming, your partner, whatever, you know, however you feel, whether it's soulmate or partner. So let's get into the misconceptions of marriage, boo. I hear so many times people saying to me, oh, I want that, you know, I've been looking for that for the longest, you know, with me and my husband. Me and my husband are so compatible that it's almost like we know what each other thinking. I can look at him and he can look at me and we on the same page. I always say, I tell people, me and him are so compatible, and both of us have a sense, both of us have street smart, and both of us have brains, that we can do that. We can look at each other, we can be on the same page. I always tell people, if the police was to ever knock on this door, Lord behold, hope they never do, because we don't do no criminal shit. But you know what, I ain't gonna even lie, the police knocked on this door about 2 years ago, y'all. Not even 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. They had it all wrong. It was some type of misunderstanding, some shit that happened at my son's job, but they had to apologize. But police knocked on this door, but it just wasn't for no criminal shit with us or my child. It was a misunderstanding. But I always say, when the police knocked on that door that day, me and my husband was already on the same page, because we didn't know what the hell was going on. I knew it couldn't have been anything for us because, you know, we legit. I know my son is, you know, legit. But, you know, you never know what your kid's doing nowadays. But both of us looked at each other. My son ain't even had to come up those steps because we already knew, honey. We already knew. I tell people all the time, the police knock on this door, they ain't taking me or him, because both of us know what to say, what to do, whether we being interrogated. Girl, I'm telling you. But anyway, people always be like, girl, I love y'all relationship. I love I want to have that. I want to be able to have a house, a partner, someone who can help me do A, B, and Z, you know. And I tell people all the time, it will happen for you if you really want it and you really out here looking, because you're not going to find a husband if you're not out here trying to date, trying to meet, trying to mingle. But it will happen. But don't look at a couple and feel like everything is perfect. I feel like some people feel like with marriage, it's like, oh my God, you know, I have reached the mountaintop. You know, I have reached what I've been pushing for. You know, like I was here at the middle of this hill, and now I have reached the mountaintop. And honey, it's not true. I'm telling you, when you wake up from, whether you had a ceremony, a wedding ceremony, or you went to the Justice of Peace, or however you did it, honey, when you wake up the next day, nothing has changed. It's the same person you slept beside the week prior. The only thing that could be a little different if y'all weren't already living together. Most couples nowadays, back then you had to court people. You ain't really live with a person until you got married. And some people are traditional like that. But most people, child, you shacking up before you get married, you know. And I would say I would rather do that. I would rather shack up before I get married, because I have to know how a person is in their everyday, daily doings. Are they nasty? Do they snore? I mean, not even the snore thing, because you can get over that. But you just have to know who a person is. You have to know who a person is before you really, with living situations before marriage. I'm sorry, you do. Because a person can put on a persona, a really good persona, and make it seem like they're one way and the whole time they're not. But like I said, if you're shacking up, you're really not going to feel any different when you wake up after that ceremony. You just want to be married. Marriage to me is no different from being with a person, dating a person, you know, a long standing, I ain't gonna say dating, I'm sorry, but being with someone and having a long relationship. You know, some people now, people are getting married a lot earlier and they're not really dating and things like that. So it makes it a little difficult to really know that person. But you know, the people who have been in relationships, long-term relationships, it's nothing different. I mean, you do feel more secure. You feel security. You do feel much more secure in your relationship. Now everything is put together, from finances. You don't have to worry about breaking up and things are not getting paid, because now you're married. If you split or you divorce or anything like that, y'all have to figure it out. I feel like when you get married, you come into joint accounts. It shouldn't be any kind of like holding back. Well, oh, why you touch this money? Oh, you took some money out here and you went shopping. It should already be set in stone what things are for, so you know what you can touch and you know what you can't touch. So if y'all put in, you know, the money to, you know, y'all have a joint account, you put the money towards certain bills in the savings, and then you have certain money, free money, whether you want to buy things for the house. And I ain't talking about shopping like what I do all the time. going out buying a whole bunch of clothes and shoes and shit like that. I was talking about when you're doing something from house, groceries, things like that. It shouldn't be a problem. So you get a little bit more security in a marriage. But I'm telling you, if you brought some bad mojo from a relationship and then you get married and you think things are going to change, that shit don't change. It does not change. It does not change. If y'all was arguing and fighting before y'all got married, when y'all was in this relationship, y'all gonna be arguing and fighting in this marriage. It's only but so much that a person grows within a short period of time, you know. So, you know, if the same thing that's going on in a relationship can definitely be going on in a marriage. Now, you have some people that feel like they're going to change after that ring is put on each other's fingers. So you do have people like that. I have seen it. I have seen men who wasn't shit, you know, was out here cheating, doing this, that, and the other, and they got married and things did change. You know, they honored their vows. So I could say that, but I'm talking about the things, the smallest things. If y'all was arguing and fighting, if that man wasn't emotionally there for you, he wasn't a support system for you and things like that, why do you think that's going to change when you get married? It's not going to it's not going to change. It's, even with, you know, the sex life. If y'all wasn't, if this chick wasn't pleasing you, this girl wasn't pleasing you before you got married, why do you think that this woman's going to do differently when you marry? I have a guy friend, and his girl never did. She don't like the, you know, should I be doing that on camera? But y'all know what I mean. She ain't like to rock the mic, right? I should be talking about this. But she ain't do it right. So I guess he thought this shit was going to change when they got married. That shit ain't changed. That bitch still ain't rocking the mic. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. It's going to get a little vulgar. I'm feel free to cuss because cocktails and what? Chit chat. So this is a Friday night. We going to let our hair loose. But she ain't going to change. She still ain't doing that shit. So now he miserable, you know what I mean? He miserable, but he living with it. So don't expect things to change, certain things to change when you get married. Don't expect it to change. And like, if anything with the sex, this will become last. Because for what, a chick will be like, oh, I got him now, shit. And especially as you get older, things are just not as spicy. But I will say, keep it as spicy as you can, because what you don't want is your man to feel unfulfilled and then he starts soaring his royal oats somewhere else, baby, in somebody else's kitty. So you don't want that to happen. But I see that a lot. You know, what you think the sex life is going to get better? And men and women, you have women who marry men who, and these men are not sexually fulfilling to them. And they feel like, oh, well, I can just deal with it. You cannot. If you're not happy with your sex life before you get married, nothing is going to change. You're not going to be able to deal with it. You're going to be even more sexually frustrated because this... It ain't no stepping out. This is a marriage. You took vows for better, for worse, for sickness and death. Oh God. So it's not going to change. So yeah, that's the misconception. Things do not change. Nothing feels different after you get married. I tell you, things do not feel different. Now, over the years, if you are really in love with your partner and this your soulmate and y'all seeing eye to eye, things will get better. Things will, as you grow, and it ain't about the merge, you grow. Once you're growing with somebody, you've been with somebody for a long period of time, things just get better. You get older, you get wiser, you're more comfortable with your partner. So things will change. It will change. It will come to change, but don't just think right out the door, newlyweds, that things are going to change. And the newlywed phase is very short. You know, you might be living it up, baby this, boo this, oh girl, shit, that shit ain't gonna last long. Y'all be arguing soon. And every couple does not argue. Me and my husband, we argue. I'm not gonna sit here and fake like we don't argue. We argue, but we argue about the pettiest, cattiest shit ever. We not arguing about no damn finances or money or no shit like that, because it's two of us, you know, we gonna figure that shit out. You know, so we not arguing about any finances, anything like that. If you're grown, you're married, you should, all of that should be okay. Sometimes you may have hiccups, because you never know if a person want to lose their job or anything like that. So sometimes you may do have financial arguments, but you shouldn't. You should not have financial arguments unless something major in life happens. And it's even if a person loses their job or anything like that, you can't just kick them to the curb. You married now. You have to support that person. You can't just say, oh, this nigga broke now, I don't want him. You can't do that. You have to figure it out. So we argue about stupid shit. Like, we'll argue about my son, okay? My son is a mama's boy. Child, my son can't do no wrong, right? And my husband sometimes feel like it's wrong. He feel like I'm ruining the boy. He feel like he's trying to make the boy into a man that, you know, he'll be okay. He won't need us. Anything to happen to us, he'll be okay. But I feel like I do the same thing. I don't feel like you know, making him an irresponsible person. I just let him get away with a whole bunch of shit that my husband don't. And we bicker about that all the time. We have had real bad arguments about that, but nowadays we don't. I let it go. I have to learn to let it go. If my husband says something and he's standing on it, I have to stand on it as well. If my husband doesn't like something that my son did, or he told my son to do something, he didn't do it, I can't be the one to be like, well, he was just, no. It causes a lot of trouble within the marriage, and the last thing you want to be doing is fighting about the kids. So I would say let that go. And women are always famous for that. So we argue about shit like that. We argue about dishes being in the sink. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't like washing dishes. I cook all the meals around here, and my husband will wash the dishes. The only time I have to wash the dishes, if it's dishes in the sink and I'm ready to cook, and you know, I don't cook in a dirty kitchen. I would never cook in a dirty kitchen. So that's when I'll wash the dishes, and then I'll clean up a little. I'll clean up some behind myself when I'm cooking. So if I'm cooking out and I'm using a pan, I'll wash that out. But when it comes to like after we finish eating, like dishes and stuff, he normally takes care of it. And some people might, you know, turn their nose up to that or don't like what I'm saying, but that's how we do things. He doesn't mind washing dishes. He always tell me he doesn't mind doing that. So he washes dishes, but sometimes he get upset because, girl, he like a certain way. He's very particular of how he like things put in the sink, put in the dish rack and shit like that. So it'll be something petty like that. It's I can't even think of the petty shit that we argue about, but we argue about some petty shit. I am a arguer. I'm a Taurus. I will go toe to toe with you. And I'm one of them chicks, like, when I argue with you, girl, it's gonna burn, it's gonna sting, girl. That cut might get infected. I'm gonna go with your ass. But I don't do that with my husband. I have in the past, before we got married, when we had like full-blown out arguments. But I don't do that in the past. But like anybody, I mean, do that anymore. That was a past thing. But anybody else, girl, play with me. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. I'm telling you, don't play with a Taurus, because she will cut you. But yeah, that's me. My husband, he's not about to argue. He's one of them people, he'll just ignore your ass. And that's one thing I hate. Do not ignore me. I like to talk. Y'all already should know I like to talk. So when he ignore me, he knows that it's getting under my skin. But we can't stay mad at each other for long. I will say with a marriage, do not stay mad at your partner. Don't go to bed mad. You know, if y'all had a rough day or y'all arguing and stuff, pray about it, you know, and go to sleep. Tell that person, even though you mad at them, I love you, good night. You know, you have to do that. You have to do that, because if you go to sleep mad one night, it's going to continue to happen, and then the one night going to go to 2 nights and 3 nights. Then y'all walking around the house not speaking for days and sometimes weeks, and then y'all in another room, and it's just you setting yourself up for failure in your marriage. So I would say argue, get out what you need to say or what you want to talk about, and girl, start off the next day new. That's my advice for any new married couples. Another thing that advice I want to give people, like, you have to be friends to be married. You have to be friends. Don't let me tell you, my husband is my best friend. I have girl best friends. I used to have guy best friends, not so much anymore. We'll talk about that at another series about that, because I used to have a whole bunch of guy best friends. But even though I have these girl best friends that I've been best friends with for years, nobody comes above my husband. No one. And, you know, I feel more comfortable telling my husband some of my most embarrassing moments or my dirty deeds than I do some of these girlfriends. Not saying that I can't tell my best friends anything, but sometimes girls, they won't judge you in your face, but they will judge you behind your back. Whereas though your partner, your husband, if you're telling him how you feel and what was going on, they're going to tell you what they think of the situation, and it should be done with. If you need empathy or anything like that, if it's something really bad, they're going to give you that. So yeah, my husband is my best friend. My husband comes before anybody, you know. And a lot of people be like, oh, their husband comes before their parents and their children and things like that. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. That's if you're a child of God, you're a Christian, you know it's supposed to be like that. So that's my partner. You know, we are what make this family strong. We are what make the kids who they are. We are it's just, we are the head of household. So yeah, do I love my husband more than I love my children? I can't say that. It's an equal thing. But my kids are not my age. My kids are not my partner. My kids cannot pay bills. So yeah, I'm gonna go for my husband wants and needs before I go for my children. And not saying it like that. I don't want to get too heavy on this, because yeah, my child is my child, and I have stepchildren who I raise, who I love. So it's certain things that, yeah, the child want to come first, and you know, vice versa, he feels the same way. But I'm just talking about in the household, you know, in the household when it comes to finances, you know, anything of that sort. Even with your family, like my mother can't call me and talk bad about my husband, you know, and his mother can't call him and talk bad about me, even though he's, you know, he a family guy. I don't know. But it's not supposed to be like that, you know. I'm not going to give my last to my mother, and I know my husband may need this. So we'll talk about that in another series, because that's going to get deep. But your husband has to be your friend. You know what? I'm not going to even say friend. He got to be your best friend. I'm telling you, y'all have to like each other. Do you know how many marriages ended during this pandemic because people ain't like each other? You was having people, they stuck in the house. They can't go nowhere. Everything was closed down. Restaurants, bars, lounges, everything was closed down. So now you're forced to be with your partner, your supposedly partner, which if you ain't together no more, that wasn't your partner. But you're forced to be at home with this person, and then you just realize, I don't like this bitch. I don't like her. You know, so that was something. It was devastating. People was breaking up left and right, honey. So you have to, yeah, you have to like each other to live with each other. You gotta remember, that's the first person you see when you wake up. That's the first person you see when you close your eyes at night. You have to like this person. You have to like this person because you gotta know that they love you, they like you, and they care for you. In case you ever get sick or something happens to you, you need to know that this person got your back. You gotta know that this person gonna wipe your ass if your ass need to be wiped. Like, you really have to know that, and that's what really, that tested us, because my husband got very, very sick a few years ago. He was in the hospital almost a month. He couldn't do anything for himself. I stayed in that hospital with him every night. Didn't miss a beat from work. I would go home after I got off of work. I would shower. I would get my pajamas and things. I will stay up there at the hospital. I was so close between the hospital, home, and work that I could do that. So in the morning, I would go ahead home real quick, get another shower, because you want to shower night and day with the hospital. So I would go home, take another quick shower, change into my work clothes, go to work, and the same thing every day. And yeah, I had to wipe my husband's ass. I did, and I was okay with it because that's my best friend, and I know he'll do it for me. So let me see what else I want to talk about. I don't want to make this too long. I already talked about, because I got a few notes, I already talked about letting disagreements go. So arguments and disagreements, let it go. Like I told you, I'm a Taurus. I'm very bullheaded. I'm strong-minded. I gotta have the last word. What I feel is what's gonna happen, you know, my way or the highway type of thing. But sometimes you have to be a little bit vulnerable. You have to let your spouse, you can't always be the leader. You have to sometimes let him feel like he got the last word. You gotta let him feel like what he says is correct, because he might be saying some shit where you like, that is not true. He don't know what he's talking about. But let him believe that sometimes. Stroke their ego. Make them feel good. Stroke their fucking ego. Okay, so now this is the biggest one, and then this will go into how me and my husband met and things like that. So the biggest thing is infidelities. And so I will say that again, talking about what you get from dating and will it continue into marriage. Like I said earlier on, if this man has been cheating on you from excuse me, from day one all throughout your dating and relationship history, don't believe that infidelity will change when you get married. Don't believe it. He has already shown you who he is and who he may continue to be. Now, I told y'all in the beginning, I have seen people who were shitty dudes when they were dating or with their baby mamas, their significant other, or whoever, before they got married. And I have seen dudes do 360s, whole 360s. I'm not going to get into, I want to base this on somebody who's close to me, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want no drama. I don't know if they watch my channel or whatever. But I have seen 360s, and sometimes you have people who really be riding the fence. They be trying hard and hard and hard to stay on the wagon, not jump off the wagon. Now, you don't really want a person like that. You don't want a person who's just so close and straddling that fence that is easy. It can be one argument that's going to throw him back into that whole, oh, I'm a player from the hem of motherfucking layers type shit. You don't want that. So you got to know before you take those vows that this man is growing and he is trying to change. Because they say once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't really believe in that. I told y'all I have seen people who change, but sometimes that can be true. I feel like this camera is crooked. If I'm a little crooked, y'all, I'm sorry. Yeah, so where was I at? Y'all, I got cut off. So yeah, I do feel like people can change. You can change your stripes. So I do think that. So yeah, I feel like with infidelity, let me tell you, right now in this day and time where I'm at in my big girl age, with me and my husband going through things before we got married, if I was to find out he was cheating today or tomorrow, it would be a done deal. Like, I'm telling you, it would be a done deal. Return to receive. Like, it will be a done deal. It wouldn't be any couples therapy, counseling, any of that. It will be done. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna give y'all a little back history of me and my husband. But yeah, if I found out he was cheating, the whole family would be broken family. The kids grown now, so it will be done. It wouldn't be no reconsidering, and he already knows that. And it's not because I'm threatening him. I haven't threatened him. I feel like my husband is my best friend. I trust my husband with everything, all of me. That I feel like if I found out he was cheating right now, today, I will really, I will be traumatized. I will feel let down. I mean, it was just, I can't even think of the word of, to be honest, it would just be devastating. Because I feel like this man is my everything, you know. This is my partner. I trust him. I really trust him. Trust him. I don't question him. I'm not going out looking for things. I have gave him my all, mind, body, and spirit, you know. So I feel like it wouldn't be any going back. Now, I'm only saying that because me and my husband had problems before we got married, and it took us, after he proposed, I accepted his proposal. My husband didn't propose to me a few times, y'all, but I took his proposal, but I didn't rush into being married because I knew that he had changed. But I had to make sure that he wasn't, what I just said, straddling the fence. I had to make sure he wasn't just right here in this center line, and all it takes is for one argument to pull him over. So I had to make sure that, so we didn't rush to get married after we were engaged. It wasn't a long time after we were engaged. I had started planning the wedding maybe 2 years after engagement, because we didn't even talk about planning anything. It was just, oh, we engaged, you know. After 2 years, I'm going to tell y'all what made me say, okay, the planning part, we can start and then we can get married. I started planning 2 years after the engagement, and we got married 6 months after that. I had to make sure. Let me tell you. Okay, so story time. Y'all already know, I done told y'all a bunch of times, I grew up with my husband. I didn't grow up around him, but the neighborhood I lived in the projects, you know, and the project community that I lived in was huge. It was really big. So you had all little small sections, and all of them was in small sections, but it was this big old circle. And he lived in a different section. He lived in the valley. I lived in the circle, right? So me and his cousin somehow became friends through a mutual friend, and we were like best friends. By the time me and his cousin became friends, he was living in another state. He was living in Indianapolis, and he was grown then. He had, you know, he was doing his thing. He had children by a woman there. So I didn't really see him like that. And when we were younger, being as though he lived in the valley, he went, that portion of our project, they were zoned to a different school zone, because it was two DC schools are close to each other. So they were routed to a different school zone than I was. So I didn't go to elementary school with him. I didn't go to junior high school with him. I just would see him around the neighborhood playing. He was a little nasty little fucker, so I didn't talk to him much. But fast forward, when we got grown, he wound up moving back here. And we started seeing each other. It was like a secretive type thing for a minute. He used to flirt with me. He liked me. I went to Indianapolis a couple of times with my friend, and he used to flirt back then, but I wasn't interested. Had a boyfriend, my childhood sweetheart. Wasn't interested. When he came back here, the childhood sweetheart had been, you know, that had been out of the picture, but I was dating someone else. When we started talking, I was fresh out of that relationship, but I was still hurt from that relationship because I felt like that person was my match. I honestly did feel like he was my match, and I was kind of like heartbroken. I wear my heart on my sleeves. I love people. When I love hard. So with my husband trying to court me, it was like, oh, it's cute, but it ain't cute enough, or, you know, I need time to heal. And ladies, find time to heal, and I should have healed, because I brought a whole bunch of bama ass shit into that relationship, and I kind of was trying to destroy, I'm talking about the relationship with me and my husband. I was kind of destroying the relationship before it even fully got off the ground. But anyway, eventually I started dating him my husband is very aggressive. So when he wants something, he wants it, and he's going to show you that he wants it. I don't like aggressive men. I feel like I like a man to take charge. I like a man to court me. I'm not that type of woman that's gonna go to a man, how you doing? Oh, hey, sexy. I'm just not that girl. I'm an old school girl. I need the man to come for me. I need the man to court me. I'm not that other type chick. So I don't like a really aggressive men. So I like a little bit of aggressiveness, but not really overly aggressive. He was very overly aggressive. I wasn't used to that. I did not like that style of things. We had a mutual friend who he knew how I was, and I was just like, I don't want him. He do too much, you know. And he gave him advice and was like, you know, you can't come at her like that. She's a different type girl. She doesn't like that. You have to come at her a little bit softer, you know, things like that. So he did that. He took that friend advice, honey, and he was just the kindest, sweetest. He was always kind of sweet. Just too aggressive, honey. Too aggressive. And he just started, like I told y'all, he started courting me. You know, he would come to my job. He would pick me up. He would come past to see me just to visit, a short visit, not want anything. He was just doing a lot of things. And the thing that really got me and him really started dating. Valentine's Day had passed. Valentine's Day probably was like a couple of days before. And he just wanted to do Valentine's Day over. And that was something my boo Tasha, she was just talking about in one of her story times that I was watching, a guy that she was dating, and they got together after Valentine's Day, and he wanted to, you know, recreate that. The same with my husband. He had showed up at my job with a bunch of flowers, candies, balloons. He wanted to take me out. We went out to a nice dinner. Did we go to the movies, or did we do something else afterwards? I think we may have went to the movies, but I know we went to dinner. That's when Phillips used to be down the wharf. We went to Phillips. I remember that. And it was just special because I never had anybody do that and, you know, ask me like, oh, I want to do something. I know you know, Valentine's Day passed, but I want you to be my Valentine. It was really cute. We started dating. We hit it off really fast, and we moved fast. When I tell you, this man was living with me within maybe 2.5, 3 months time. And I was pregnant shortly after that. We moved really fast. Yeah, it was fast, and it was so beautiful. Like, when I tell you, I had never had this. We were always together. We were always with his family. His family embraced me. His family, most of them, half of the family knew me already anyway from me being close friends with his cousin. But the ones who didn't know me, they embraced me. I was invited to everything. His family is a family, socialites. They're always doing something. It was just wonderful. It was always baby this, boo this, honey this. It was just special. Shortly after, I feel like I started to ruin things. I started to ruin things within the relationship. When I was pregnant, I was very moody. I was very sick during pregnancy. I could not hold anything down. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything for the first 5 months of my pregnancy. After 5 months, I was able to eat light things, crackers, ginger ale, broth. I was able to get more water and stuff down. It wasn't until like I was 7 months till I was fully able to eat. About 6.5, 7 months. And when I tell you I ate. So I was a little miserable with that. And then after I had the baby, I went back to work. Things were getting fine, but then I lost my job. I was working on a contract. I worked contract jobs with the federal government most of my career. And the contract we lost. And I remember losing my job, sitting in the house with a baby. My child was only maybe about 4 or 5 months then. And this guy always gone. So I would just pick arguments. I just felt like, what is he doing? You know, what he out here doing? Is he really at work? Is he really with his friends? All this shit because of my insecurities with my past relationship. Because my past relationship, when I say that dude was all types of playing mind games with a motherfucker, he would play mind games on you. He would make you think that you crazy, you know. So yeah, I was just, my mind just wouldn't let me go. I'm stuck in the house with a baby, you know, this, that, and the other. Girl, to the point where we just started to argue. It got so bad in there too. I feel like it's going to become physical in a moment. So I was just like, you know what? I have to step back for a minute. So I wanted a break. I told him we need a break. Let's have a break. Because after I lost my job, he wound up doing maintenance. My husband used to be a maintenance man. So he wound up doing maintenance. You know, with maintenance, they always either give you a apartment free of charge, or either they give you an apartment with a very highly discounted rate because of you being on call all the time and having to be on the property. He wound up getting this apartment. We wound up leaving my apartment because I had a shitty landlord. And now this apartment is in his name, right? But it wasn't an issue. He didn't make me feel like, okay, this is my shit. So that was good. But when I left, you know, this is his apartment. You go ahead, stay here. I moved in with my godmother. You know, I told y'all about my godmother. She passed about 1.5 years ago. That's my best friend's mom. They always was there for me. That's my second mom. That was my second mom. I moved back in with them. You know, it's no time stamp on how long I could stay, but I was only planning on maybe about a month, 2 months. Let's give each other time to miss each other, figure things out, come back strong. Girl, I shouldn't have did that shit. When I tell you, when you love somebody, I don't give a shit what y'all going through. If y'all going through arguments and stuff like that, go ahead and go to therapy. You don't have to be married to go through therapy. And especially if you think that's your partner, somebody you are going to marry down the line, go ahead and get married. Go to counseling. So made that big mistake, wound up leaving. He asked me a few weeks after, like, come back home, you know, come back home. I was like, well, no, we don't have to be 3 months or so. Let's just give it a couple of more weeks. We doing good. Everything is going fine. So let's see how it's gonna work. Big mistake. Another big mistake. Girl, I guess he was like, oh, this bitch done left home. Girl, he started doing him. And I was devastated. I went to go pick up some things from the house one day. And I didn't have a car, so my mother and her boyfriend had took me. And it was just weird that he wasn't answering the phone, right? But I was like, if he's not home, he's somewhere out front. And, you know, all his friends live around here. This little maintenance crew, right? Girl, I get there, and this nigga in there with another friend of his and a bitch. I never saw the girl. And matter of fact, I had a key. That's why I wound up still going over. So when they heard me unlocking the door, this motherfucker ran and tried to put the chain thing on the damn door. Girl, and I'm kicking and banging the door. You know how you put your back towards the door and you back kick? Girl, I was kicking the fuck out that door with all my might. But that's how I found out a girl was in there, because you could hear a girl, she was in there scared as shit. First, she was like laughing, like, what's going on? And then she was like, I need to get out of here, this, that. And I was like, open this motherfucker door, I'm gonna beat that bitch ass. Like, even though I shouldn't have been trying to beat her ass, I should have been trying to beat his, right? But when I tell you, they would not let me in. My mother had to come upstairs when she started hearing commotion, like, what the fuck going on? So she had to calm me down. Was like, come on, let's go. Don't worry about it, that dirty motherfucker. You know, that, and the other. And so after that, I was just like, it's over. You know, it wasn't no break. It wasn't none of that. It's done. You know, we trying to work on us and you trying to work on some other cooch. Shit. So it was done and over, right? But I was still thinking that, you know, we gonna get back together. We gonna get back together. This will work its thing itself out. So I wasn't fully, I'm not gonna say it was done and over. It wasn't done and over, but it was like I saw him for what he was. Of course, he tried to lie, oh, she was in there for Paul, she wasn't in there for me, this and other, one of his friends. And I was like, okay, but she still shouldn't have been in my house. I think I forgave him for that, right? I think I forgave him for that. But with me believing that shit that he said, it just brought a whole bunch of room for other shit that he thought was, you know, going to go under the radar. So girl, he just started doing him. All of a sudden he going to all these parties. He going to the club left and right. He used to go to the club back in the day, but he had stopped. Going to the club left and right, pool party, shit like that. And it's almost like he rubbing that shit in my face, you know. Oh yeah, I'm going here and this, that, and the other. And then he was like, oh yeah, because I'm single. Yeah, because we did break up. We did break up after that. We did, but we still talk. Yeah, because I'm single. Oh, you left, this, that, and the other. Girl, and I tell you, this motherfucker used to have my blood boiling. Girl, then all of a sudden I found out he had a girlfriend. He was actually dating one of his cousins, old best friends or some shit. And they tried to keep it from me for a minute. When I found out, well, he tried to keep it from me. Me and his cousin, we are really close friends to this day. We had, this is another cousin. We had became very, very close friends after this situation. But me and her got into a heated argument to where as though it was on site, you know. It was on site. We was gonna fight on site, bitch. I felt like on site when I see you, I'ma fuck you up. And she felt the same thing, vice versa, on site. That's how bad the argument got with me and her about him and her friend. Girl, so after that, it was just like back and forth. But my biggest mistake was still sleeping with this man through it all. We would have our shit, but we would, you know, not be dealing with each other fully, but it was always back, you know. I felt like, you know, if I wanted some, that's who I was gonna call. I'm not a fast type girl, so I'm not gonna be out here sleeping with a whole bunch of dudes. But that shit got old real fast. Because after that girl, he stopped messing with that girl. It was another girl. Then it was other girls. It was just a whole bunch of shit. And even though he can say, he used to could say, oh, we're not together. And I used to try to pin that in my head like, oh, he ain't doing me wrong, and will still sleep with him. Because I feel like, well, we ain't together. That's just my baby father. And I felt like being as though he was still sleeping with me and I can call him whenever I wanted, and that was my baby father. Oh, I got a hold on him. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. I can still pop up over this dude's house. All of that. Man, when I tell you, I used to have the bitches in his neighborhood so fucking shook. Girl, it was like Debo was pulling up. Bitch, you know how when Debo get out the car, people start grabbing their shit, right, going how. Girl, that's how it would be. I would be pulling up, and the girls would be grabbing their little chairs. Girl, and they walking to their buildings. They probably was like, this crazy bitch is here. Girl, I'm telling you, I used to do some stupid. I kicked that man's door in so many goddamn times that him and his maintenance friends, him being a maintenance man and his friend, girl, they could not get that door on properly. Like, anybody could have just broken his house easily because they kept having to take the door off, put it back on, girl. The locks was all jimmied up. That's how much, girl, kicking the door, waving the 4-4s. I ain't waving it no 4-4s, y'all. But when I tell you, I used to kick in the door like every other week. Like, who the fuck in here? Who in here? Who the fuck in here? That's how I used to be, right? Girl, none of the girls could look at me. I'll be staring them down. And I hate that about that time in our relationship. Because I looked like a bully. And low-key, it was bullying. Because, girl, I'll never forget, he had some neighbors that lay downstairs. And they had some shit going on. These were some gay girls. They were gay. They were living together. And I think he had some shit going on with them downstairs. He always denies, still to this day deny it. But in my head, and the cousin who at first it was supposed to be on site, me and her now are like this, right? We came to agreement. She apologized for everything that she said to me. I didn't apologize because I wasn't wrong about shit. But we became like this. Me and this girl went down these girls' house because we was drunk as shit, y'all. And we putting in each other's head. He probably is fucking. Girl, when I tell you, we was banging and kicking on these bitches' door. Girl, them bitches was in there scared as shit. Girl, we was this close to knocking that door down. That's how both of us kicking. But either way, you guys, like, we had some shit going on, and it got to the point like, oh nigga, you gonna do you, I'ma do me too. And niggas can't handle that shit. When you start doing you and, you know, they feel like, oh, things are getting on the equal playing field, girl, they can't handle that shit. They can't handle that shit. They don't want nobody else to have them goods, honey. But yeah, we ain't together, right? That's what you saying. We ain't together, right? I'm just your baby mother, right? And now I feel like you're disrespecting me, right? Because you doing nasty shit, right? So guess what? Sue gonna play that motherfucker. So yeah, I started doing me, and I think that's when everything changed. Everything changed. We started to hate each other, you guys. But at the end of the day, I don't want to make this story long. If y'all want to hear more about my relationship and things that, you know, happened in the past with us, let me know. I'll talk to him about it, because I don't want to be telling business if he's not okay with it. But things really change. That's why I said sometimes, like, you had girls who be like, oh, I never date a guy who cheated on me, I ain't taking him back, it's over and done with. A married person can say that, I will say. But when you're in a relationship and y'all just dating, he doesn't belong to you. He's not your partner. There ain't no papers to saying this, that, the other. You know, half the time y'all young, you know, so it's up to you on if you can handle it. Now, if he a serial cheater, and he's not showing you any respect, that's something different. But when you're younger and you're dating, and you know, it's infidelity, if it's infidelities, that's something different. I can't say it wasn't too much infidelities on me and my husband's part, because we technically wasn't together. We had the benefits and we still was doing us, but we technically weren't together. But if you are together, you're living together, and that is your man, and he's serial cheating on you, that is something different that you have to keep in mind. Is this gonna ever change? But if it's one time and something happens, shit happens. Y'all not married. If you see potential in him, if you see him being your partner, y'all can make this work. Y'all seek counseling, things like that. Don't give up on that relationship. Don't give up. But it's on you. Do what the fuck you want to do. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but me personally, I wouldn't. And you know, I just told y'all about the shit with my husband, so y'all know I'm gonna stick it through. I knew that my husband was my person. I tell you, we are equally yoked. Everybody loves our relationship. It's funny, we are hilarious, right? We are hilarious. People think we arguing and then we be laughing, child. But yeah, we technically weren't together, but it just still felt like we were together. We were trying to move on, and then it was times that we did get back together, because we were not together for about 3 years. But within those 3 years, it was times that we tried to make it work. We tried to get back together, and I could say maybe he was cheating. Yeah, maybe he was, because we would get back together and we'll try the living with each other thing, and then all of a sudden he'll just move out. So I can't really say that he was cheating, but technically he was. But he wouldn't stay, you know, if he felt like he met somebody, or you know, he's sleeping with somebody else, he would just leave. And I think that's fucked up. You know, because he would just leave. But at least he wasn't doing it under my roof, or the roof that we shared together. He would just leave. He would just do that stupid shit and just leave. It was heartbreaking, but he would do that. But that's when I had to realize that this nigga ain't shit. And, you know, we ain't together. We can't be together. So we tried, but it ain't work. It ain't work. And another thing about my husband, one thing about him, even when we weren't together and he was doing his thing, oh, them bitches couldn't tell me shit. Like, I could call a person out and be like, oh, you know, because I'm one of the ones, you sleeping with my baby father. you messing with my baby father. And they'd be like, no, what you talking about? No, girl, they wouldn't tell you shit. If anything, they would be trying to befriend you, and I think that's the nastiest shit ever. I'm not gonna smile in a woman's face and know I'm sleeping with her man. But yeah, some people would think, why are you telling all of this, you married? I don't have any shame in what happened in me and my husband's past, because I feel like that's what made us what we are today. We are a strong couple, a very strong couple. And yeah, it was some crazy shit going on in the past. That's why I tell you right now today, if he was to cheat, it would be over with. Been there, done that. Not going back to that situation. So yeah, that is our story. I waited after we finally got back together and things got back strong. It probably was about 3 years. It was a whole 3-year break. The first year was us trying to figure things out, and it just wasn't working. That second year that we weren't together, we tried to make it work. It was 2 different occasions where he moved in and then moved back out. He moved in once. He like forced his way, deboed his way back in, because he knew then that I was dating, right? That I was seeing other people. So he kind of deboed his way back in. But then he left. He shortly after that, just one day, ain't come back. So I can't even say we was living together now, because he just deboed his way back in. But shortly after that, I guess he was seeing somebody, and he left. And then we broke up. You know, it wasn't discommunication for about maybe 6-7 months, and then we tried to work on things again. Same thing happened, you know, and we had to take another year. So it wasn't until like 3.5 years in that we were like, okay, you know, enough is enough. Yeah, and shortly after that, he proposed. He proposed on Christmas at his mom's house. I accepted the proposal, but I didn't plan anything, because I had to make sure. I knew that he changed, but I had to make sure that he was fully changed. It was one day he woke up one morning, maybe about 1.5 years, about 2 years later. 2 years later, he woke up one morning and was like, let's get married. You know, let's go to the justice of peace right now. I want to marry you today. And I was like, And he had changed. So I was like, okay. And that's what told me that this man fully changed. Because it wasn't me. I didn't ask him about merge, anything. That was just made me like, okay, he's not straddling that fence anymore. He never talked about the engagement before then. He never talked about the planning of the wedding before then. He just woke up that morning and was like, he want to marry me, and he want to marry me today. And that's when I knew he wasn't straddling that fence anymore. And that's when I started planning my wedding. And we got married 6 months later. So don't let certain things block your blessings, ladies. Sometimes you got to get over that hurdle to be able to be in that solid relationship. That's why I tell people, don't judge a couple by looking at them. You never know what goes on in their household. We don't got shit going on in here. We on the same page. We argue, like I said, we argue, but it ain't no long arguments. We gonna tell each other how we feel, honey, and that's gonna be it. But everything is not perfect. It's a building. Marriage is hard. Marriage is not hard work, but marriage is work. If marriage is hard for you, if it's hard work, you shouldn't be in that relationship. But marriage is work. It is work. It can be ghetto as shit at times. Marriage can be real ghetto. But marriage can be perfect as well. So, not perfect, but semi-perfect. So, that's it, you guys. The next video is going to be fashion talk. Let me know. Leave me some comments on what you want to hear within that fashion girl talk. So, I hope you enjoy. I hope I, gave you some tips and tricks for if you are engaged or looking to be married. So yeah, that's it. I'm not tipsy. I only drank like a couple sips of that champagne. I'm not a big champagne drinker. But next Friday, girl, we're going to get it turned. We're going to get it lit up in here. All right, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.